trust me, you will know. You will know when you're being gang stalked. My old channel, I spoke a lot about electronic harassment and targeted individuals. My first video, in fact, was about gang stalking. How do you know for sure when you're being gang stalked? After it happens once, I'll call it gang stalking takedown. Once you've been gang stalked and taken down, and you find yourself either, if you're sitting in a jail cell, or if you find yourself without a place to stay that night, whatever it may be, you start to understand what you felt. You start to understand you got that bad feeling. And who was that person that spoke to you when you got that bad feeling? Who asked you questions? They come along as good people. They'll call you brother or sister. Act like the closest person they could be to you, but you still get that negative vibe. Then the information you share with them is shared with other people. Sometimes it's completely different. Sometimes they aren't even a wolf in sheep's clothing. Sometimes right off the gate, you're dealing with a scumbag. And from that moment on, it's like, how to explain it? How to explain it without the obvious? What I always do is explaining how law enforcement is obvious. It's very obvious in these scenarios. It always ends up with law enforcement. But sometimes they'll use your family. They'll use your friends. They'll use strangers. They'll use the environment and people in the environment in ways that, because you're vibrating high and your frequencies are not low, because you're vibrating high, because you have a spiritual mark, you have an obvious presence of awakening, that the environment that you're in will react, whether if it's your own family or strangers in that environment or the friends you were with. Through electronic harassment is how these people act on a current, on the same current of the frequency of the signal, to gang stalk you and take you down. I know unless it's happened to you, I know it all sounds like crazy talk. I get it. That my first whole channel was based off this topic. I got a lot of views, but a lot of people just didn't understand. That was back in 2017, 2018. And now, a lot of people are experiencing this, and they don't even know how to explain it. They don't know what gang stalking is pretty much defining exactly what they just experienced. I'll give you an example. They'll find someone to make you reach your boiling point. Here's an experience that, wow, this happened in 2015. Stepfather. Again, it was a environmental setting in which most were family members. And I noticed that with all the shit talking, with all the down talking, with the way I was flat out just verbally getting attacked, even though I didn't respond, I felt that energy. I just felt that something bad was going to happen. Then I noticed other relatives. Instead of calming him down and saying, don't bring up his ex-wife, just cheated on him, just got a divorce, that's distasteful, that's rude. Instead of saying, don't bring up the children that, been kidnapped and taken to Florida, don't bring up the dogs that he adopted and raised that were also taken, and don't bring up his career that he lost because of a motorcycle accident. Instead of saying all these things, it's like they couldn't help but get on the same frequency, on the same signal as him, and would attack the same way. And there was no place for me to go. There's no place for me to hide. And that's it. My boiling point reached. I went towards my stepfather and expected a fight. I didn't swing first. I took off my shirt. I got in his chest. He didn't swing. Nothing happened. But since all the gangstalkers are on the same frequency, on the same signal, and they're pretty much there to cause damage, the cops were called, and none of the aggression from the gang stalker was spoken about. The only thing that was spoken about was my retaliation to that aggression. Therefore, the moment the cops came, what do you think happened? I mean, before I could get a word in, I was already cuffed, face slammed into the ground, and what's even crazier is I spent 3 days in jail and got charged with menacing, even though I never threatened anybody. Never broke anybody's property, never, I would say that's one of the moments that I handled myself very well accordingly. There's only so much you could allow yourself to take. If you allow people to literally come straight out and disrespect you on that level, then you must not love yourself. If you love yourself, you're going to do something about it. Doesn't mean you have to attack the person, but like I said, I expected a fight. I expected him to swing the first punch, and I was wishing he would. That's one out of hundreds of different scenarios I could give you. You'll always notice that feeling before it happens. You'll always notice something bad is going to happen. You'll always get that feeling. Then, most of the times, you will be asked questions. And you will start to notice. You will start to notice that you are being gang-stalked. You will start to notice something come out of nowhere. Whether it's someone's anger towards you or whether something happens. Let's say you're at a wedding and the table that the cake is on breaks and there's a mess everywhere, the table broke, and you're blamed for it even though you're all the way across the room. Shit like that. Shit like that. Shit like that. The harder ones is when you're dealing with people that are in a position of authority. This includes train conductors. I never really went clubbing or anything, but for those of you who do, would be bouncers. Anyone that has just the slightest position of authority. Gang stalking will be, you politely answer a question that you're asked, and they take it way out of context. They try to get you kicked off the train, arrested. They just turn into a mess. You could see the madness. You could feel the bad feeling before they even come to check your ticket or ask you a question. I'm going by the conductor scenario. And when they come, they ask you a question. Could I see your ID? Could I see your other ID? And when you explain yourself, when they find the simplest reason to get you to pay more money, when they find the simplest reason to try to get you in trouble, and they'll take what you said out of context, no matter how light, toned, and polite you answer, no matter how respectful you are, it's taken out of context to where they explode. Then they go to their superiors, and then other people on the train, it's like they're on the same frequency as them. And even though they were there to witness that you were just attacked, instead they're sticking up for the conductor, kissing the conductor's ass, making it seem like for sure you did exactly what you did. They want to see you get kicked off the train and arrested just as bad. And see what I mean? These are scenarios of gang stalking. The reason I made this video is because once you go through it, you almost I'll put it this way. Once you experience it one time, you'll notice the same patterns. You'll notice the same energies every single time. You'll know when you're being gang stalked. You'll know before. You'll know before. When you get that bad feeling, when you get that feeling where you know something bad is going to happen. And a lot of times, more often than not, there is nowhere to go. There is nowhere to hide. Most often, this happens specifically in moments and events that there is no place to go. You just, you don't have the option to say, okay, let me get out of here. If it was that easy, you know, it's called gangstalking for a reason. And you're most vulnerable in places like a train, where you can't just open up the door and jump out. Places that are within an environment or a setting where you can't just run out the door, hop in a car, and leave. It happens during vulnerable moments, you know? It'll happen sometimes if your family's being used to gang stalk you. It'll happen at your own place of comfort, you know? That's why I don't care what it is. I'm glad to pay rent to at least escape. So I never have to deal with that level of gang stalking, which is the worst, which is the absolute worst. So not too many people are blessed enough to where they could just, you know, find a place that's within their budget range and move into and, you know, escape a situation like that. But my reason for this video is, you know, the first video I made in the beginning of this channel was kind of out of order, kind of reversed on accident. You know, I really didn't want to give much energy to this topic. I really didn't want to make videos on this topic. But now more than ever, the chosen ones, the awakened ones, those who are critical thinkers, those who are not, you know, following bandwagons of people, those who are not easily deceived, those who aren't even deceived in the slightest, those who are strong, those who are brave, those who, you know, do have morals and stand by them and live by them, those who pick a side and don't just change sides because it's convenient. They'll stay on that side no matter how bad shit gets. They'll stay on that righteous side. I have to speak on this because it's come to a point in time that just about everybody watching this video, it's for a reason. You're not just watching this video because, you know, you're watching random shit on YouTube. No, there's a reason. There's a reason you watch this video. A lot of people that are still hanging in there in this time, in these days, are being targeted the most. You think it just stops? This is why I don't want to give any energy to it. That's why my first video, I really didn't give much energy to it, and I told you how to deal with Gangstalking. But I had to make another video because now more than ever, we are being targeted. I didn't even get into electronic harassment yet. The last time I tried, they took the video down, so I have to figure out what and what not. I could say, you know, other than we're all aware of Stingray, and we're all aware that this technology taps into the radio towers and it takes all of our data and the data of everyone around us. But whenever I try to share and greater, you know, whenever I try to share what Stingray really is, they wipe out the video. If they just wanted your data, they could easily use Stingray to get just your data. But there's a reason why they take everyone in your environment's data, and it has a lot to do with gang stalking. You don't think these devices, if they can't, these devices could read your mind. These cell phones could read your mind. You could think about a pair of sneakers you want. You could think about, I don't fucking know, a specific kind of video game, and next thing you know, an advertisement comes on, and without having to speak it or anything like that, and it happens all the time, and you know, damn, is my mind being read like that? And a lot of people are aware of this. A lot of people that, you know, aren't even on a spiritual level, aren't even on an awakened level, they're aware of that. So what I'm saying is, if these devices can read your thoughts, what makes you think that they can't project thoughts as well? What makes you think these devices can't project someone to react a certain way and act a certain way, be at a certain place at a certain time? This is what I'm trying to explain about electronic harassment and Stingray, and how Stingray technology is used specifically to pick and choose who your gang stalkers are, how they're going to react, and give a reason for the police to be able to arrest you. And more often than not, they try to give you charges, try to charge you with things you've never done. And after seeing so many innocent people that are in prison that aren't aware of what happened to them, that have no idea the technology that they've been using since the fucking 80s. This is not new technology. This is not. There's a lot of old technology that was banned, you know, in the fucking 70s, that just came back out recently. They do silence people. They do. This technology can silence people. But if you're right with yourself, if you are just focused on your ascension, if you're focused on your transitioning, your resurrection, whatever words define your path, as in ascension. As long as you follow through, and as long as you don't let their technology, their people, their weapons, even though I'm not much of, see, to say no weapon formed against me shall prosper would be real fucking stupid, because there's a lot of weapons used against us that are still fucking prospering. Still. Just be strong. Even if you find yourself in those scenarios where you've just been gangstalked, you've just been taken down, don't give them what they want. And that simply is for your frequencies, for your vibrations to lower. They want, like, it's called Lightcode lockdown. Those of us that are walking around ascended with high vibrations, they use these weapons against us to bring our vibrations and our frequencies down. And more often than not, especially if you're on the right path, and if you've been doing this for a while, there are weapons that they use to make your vibrations go down actually will give you a spike of higher vibrations, because now you have to use your highest of vibrations to overcome these attacks, which makes you stronger spiritually, energetically, and consciously. It's not always a bad thing. If you find yourself in that situation, like my first video, I said, raise to the highest of your vibrations, to the highest, and start cleansing and purifying with these weapons and what these tactics they use to, in Lightcode lockdown, to bring our vibrations down lower. Use your higher vibrations, your highest of them, to clean up the mess of these attacks. Now, I'm not going to bring up astral attacks just yet. I'm not going to speak on astral attacks in the same video, but it's like the same branch on the tree, but just a different branch. So I'm going to make another video about that. For now, I just wanted to re-update my first video, because this is happening to so many people, and they don't even know what's happening to them. They don't know why it's happening to them. And the best advice, I understand the depression and the anger that could come with that. So, once you're aware of it, don't give your energy to it. Do not give, any anger, depression, or violence. Do not give your energy to it, because that brings your light codes down. That's what it's meant to do. Light code lockdown. Keep your vibrations high. And clean the mess however you can, and your highest states of consciousness, even if you have to meditate in a fucking jail cell. I've done it, I've been there, I've done that, and it's always brought the best out of me. Luckily, I've had people teach me how to overcome these attacks, which is why I'm here making this video, because if I didn't have those people to teach me how to overcome these attacks, they might have broke me. They might have had me in Lightcode lockdown. They might have broke me to the point that maybe I would have been just as low in vibrations, unaware, and controlled to get the jab, what I can't really speak on any more than I already have, which, if you didn't watch my last video, I know I was on a rant, but that's the only way I could give you the full truth. If you just listen to the details of what I'm saying, I already told you what's going on and what's been going on. And if you could get past, there's a method, there's a way I made the video, the way I made it. And that's to throw off, I couldn't get another strike. I tried to tell y'all twice, and I couldn't let another week or two go past without notifying you, because the most important thing I could share was in that last video, and that's about the laws that were mandated on June 16th of this year. So we're already months into what's been going on, and that's why you see these distractions everywhere. And that's why people that still haven't been under control, that still haven't gotten the, that jab, are being targeted, gang-stalked. And I felt, what better time to make a video on this than now. So, with that being said, much love to everybody, and